Hey everyone, welcome. So this is Heather. I'm talking to Heather today from parenting, resilience, coaching, helping. We all need this, okay? Heather is somebody who I know in our networking group, Discover Her. I've been talking to some people about how we can support people in our community, things that we're doing, for example, in lockdown. Everybody is struggling, let's be real here, and we all need some help. So I reached out into my networking group, said, anybody got any tips? Anybody got anything they want to share? And Heather reached out and said, yes, I've got some things that we can talk about. And I said, yes, please. I am going to ask Heather to help me out as well with our kids, because I'm struggling with our kids as well in terms of them not being who they used to be. Their personalities have kind of changed a little bit. I've got 5.5-year-old twins, so things have been different for them. A lot of tantrums at the moment, which has been interesting. And I'm just like, what happened? What did you guys morph into? I know it's because of lockdown, so I need help, like everybody else needs help as well. Happy to admit that I ain't got this all perfect. Heather, you must be really busy at the moment.
Absolutely. Thanks, Harp. It is just such a difficult time. And what you just said is what I hear from so many parents. What they're seeing are kids who are either are tantruming more sibling arguments. If you've got older kids, some of them are finding it really hard to get motivated, which also is frustrating for them. So you see kids whose behavior is all over the place, and also a lot more kind of in your face than you would have seen before. And this is really because our kids are having a tough time.
Yes.
And so I'd love to talk about how we can really help them.
We definitely need to talk about that for sure. First of all, before we start doing that, let's talk a little bit about you.
Okay.
So what got you into parenting? Your accent isn't from around here either. So
nope.
Hear a little bit about that too.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm English, but I grew up in the States, and then I came back here to work and have my family. So I've got 3 kids, and they are older now. They are teens and young adults. And I came into parenting because I needed help.
Yeah.
I was a professional woman, had a full-on job, and I decided to take some time to, so I had a little bit more flexibility to be with my kids.
Yep.
And luckily for me, one day when my kids were young, I went to a parenting talk, and I thought, oh my goodness, I'm not alone. There is another way.
Yes.
My way had been the kind of reactive way we deal with our kids, which is nagging, shouting, pleading, and eventually sending them to their room.
Yes.
We all know that the adrenaline rises, right? We see ourselves reacting, and we respond to our kids in a way that is completely not helpful.
Yes, I definitely agree on that.
Yeah, so we just don't know really what to do in the moment also to help us stay calm. So what I did was I went on a course. It was like a 10-week course. I did more training. I was fascinated by the brain science, the research, and all the body of evidence that there is a more effective way to parent in a positive, calm, connected way that helps us be the parent we'd like to be, but also really importantly, brings out the best in our children. Because with this connected way of parenting, we have a really deep relationship, and it's the deep relationship that helps us get through, the highs and the lows of being a parent. So I set up my parenting business called the Parenting Partnership about, 5 years ago or so. And I work with parents one-on-one, and I run courses, and I do webinars and everything else, but I love what I do.
I think every parent would love to aspires to have that relationship with their kids, where their kids can come talk to them, where they can have, calm conversations, where their kids are reasonable, where their kids are not lashing out and you're not reacting to what they're doing as well. Then afterwards, you've had that interaction, then you feel really guilty. You're like, oh, what did I just do? That wasn't the right way of doing it. Oh, my kid's going to be scarred for life now. I'm going to talk about this in therapy in 30 years time with their therapist, for example. And then you think, oh man, I'm not getting any of this right. And then because we're in lockdown, you think, you know what, everybody else's kids seem to be doing it really well because of what we see on social media. Obviously social media is going to be a big filter that, people are sharing certain things and not sharing when their kids are frankly being shit. Let's be real. Exactly. They're only sharing when their kids are, baking cakes and being lovely. But that's not real life, right? And I think that's quite hard as well. Social media's got quite a big part to play in how it makes you feel in terms of how good you are as a parent. Is that what you've been finding from people who you've been coaching?
Yes, absolutely, Harps. There's so many layers to this, and one of them is clearly is how we feel inside.
Yeah.
And one thing I just kind of, the phrases that stick with me that I think really help is that the first thing is that all our kids, all their behavior is a communication,
Yes.
and usually we see behaviors that are on either unacceptable or that we don't like. It could be behaviors such as being withdrawn as well, which also, and it's not just lashing out, it's all the kind of range of emotions that we know that something's not quite right. So we need to remember that our children are expressing
Yeah.
in behavior in the only way that they either think they can, or the way in which they know will get our attention, and
Mhm.
they're sending us a message. So if we can remember that our kids are having a problem rather than being a problem,
Good point. Good way to phrase it. Yes, that's very true.
which
Yeah.
comes from the great parenting expert Bonnie Harris. So it's not necessarily mine, but if you just boil it down, so you look at your child, and as your lovely 5.5-year-old twins are having a tantrum, they're having a problem, they're not being a problem. So when someone has a problem, they need our help.
Yeah.
Right. So if we can turn things around and kind of reset our minds and
Mm.
say, look, this is a child who needs my help. And actually, rather than thinking we either want to send them away to let them have a good old think about what they're doing, when we do that, we're actually saying, sorry, this is a bit too much for me. But either if we just have the idea that we're here to help them,
Yeah.
we've got this, I'm on your side. Okay. What is it that you're trying to tell me?
See, I try that with my kids. So I'll
Yeah.
say to them, okay, look, what are you trying to say to me? And I'll say to them, do you want to cuddle right now, or do you want to have some alone time?
Yeah.
And then, okay, I want alone time. Okay, fine. Well, when you're ready, come and let me know. I'm here when you're ready.
Yeah.
And then and on the way to them having their alone time, which they choose to have for themselves, they will be kicking, they'll be shouting into pillows, I'm angry. I'm like, okay, it's okay to be angry.
Yeah.
What are you angry about? Okay, fine, I get that. But then I just find that, I don't know, it's just, it's not easy to
Yeah.
have to watch them go through all these filtering of their emotions and
Yeah.
stuff. And then when you say, okay, are you feeling better now or whatever? No, I'm still angry. I'm like, okay, fine. Now what? I don't know what to do when they say I'm still angry. I'm like, okay, it's okay to be angry because you have to feel your emotions. And then I think everyone gets a bit stuck on what
Okay,
to
that's
do
a
next
really
with
great
that.
point. So what we've just talked about is we've talked about the fact that helping our kids understand that it's okay to
Mm.
have any emotion.
Yeah.
Anything you feel is okay. And so
Yeah.
many times as parents, we say, don't, you'll be fine. Or
Yes.
can you please cut that out?
Yeah.
Or what else do we say? Or yeah, again, go away and until you can calm down. So we say all these things to them, but the message we want to send to our kids is it's okay to have the emotions. We just sometimes need to limit what we do with them. So if we first of all are aware of the emotions, which clearly you are, and then what we want to do is we want to recognize ourselves as emotions as an opportunity to teach our kids. So in other words, we want to put this into a language that says, hey, look, we've got this, it's okay. So what you might say is, wow, and kind of mirror their level of energy, right? We
Yeah.
don't go, wow, wow, I can see that you were still really angry.
Yeah.
This is really tough for you.
Mhm.
I know you really wanted to stay on that screen,
Yeah.
and I know you don't really want to go and do that worksheet. I
Mhm.
get that.
Yeah.
You feel so good when you're on that screen, and that worksheet is hard. It's really hard, and you have to concentrate, and it's not your favorite thing. So we just keep going until they know really that we get it.
That
Okay.
we're basically telling them what they're trying to tell us, but they just can't express it, or they haven't got that understanding how to express all that level of that path of what's been going on in their head.
Yeah.
But
So
once we express it for them, they're like, okay, you get me. I just couldn't say it like that.
and also what we're teaching them really importantly is we're giving them the language of emotion. Okay,
Yes.
them
Yes.
and the reason that your kids are just adorable 5.5-year-olds, right? So they remember they don't have a fully developed prefrontal cortex, right? They
True.
are,
That's true.
when kids are little, it doesn't happen anyway till they're in their mid-20s. But as kids develop, they are firing all on their kind of emotional limbic system. So
Hmm.
think of accelerator with few brakes. And we need
Okay.
We need to be their kind and gentle breaks, but we
Yes.
also want to give them the words to describe how they're feeling because they don't know. And so what happens if we calmly say, I bet, I wonder if you're feeling jealous. It seems so
Okay.
much easier for, your sister, or she loves math.
Mm,
I can imagine that's really hard for you. And we're not excusing their behavior,
mm.
right? We're not pushing their feelings away. We're giving them the label of how they feel. So if I always use this example for parents, which I think is good. If I said to you, Harps, you're a great mom, and you think to yourself, oh my God, she didn't see me yell at my kids this morning,
Yeah.
and throw the cereal bowl, across the table and everything else. But if I said to you, wow, I really love the way you explained to your son that in the old days, that you were going to the shop to buy a present for his friend. And even though he loves to get things for himself, you
Mm,
explained it to him in such a gentle, but also kind of firm way that this was about his friend. That
mm.
was really considerate of you. Now, is that not more kind of believable and
Yes.
incredible? So what we want to do is give our kids the kind of gift of helping them to appreciate and learn how they're feeling inside and what's okay for them to do with those feelings.
Do you find that this is the approach differs for different age group of children? Do you find you have to
Yeah,
adapt that?
yeah, absolutely. So the two things are that I would say, first of all, you are the expert in your own child. So
Yeah.
everything I teach always is adapted to what A feels good for you, and B for your age of children,
Mm,
stage, and also their temperament. So
yeah.
I wouldn't say to my 17-year-old,
Mm.
oh, sweetheart, I can really see that you don't want to sit down and do that math sheet. But I might say to her, God, this really sucks,
Yeah.
right? I so get that you are missing your friends. Like, you're
Yeah.
supposed to be with them. You're 17. You're out
Yeah.
there. You're supposed to be messing around. You're not supposed to be, just chatting to them on Zoom on a Friday night.
Yeah.
That's really difficult. So
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. And the other thing I just wanted to mention is that we also want to really drill down with our kids and think about their own temperament. Like, how are they wired? So the example is that your two twins, I don't know them yet, but let's just say one of them is more of an extrovert. They
Hmm.
actually love the energy and need the energy of other people, and the other one is more of an introvert. So um, he maybe needs some downtime on his own. Now think about what lockdown might do, how they each might experience it in their own way.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
as an extrovert, that's really hard for me
Yeah.
because I need the energy to recharge of other people. Whereas your introvert, he might actually think, I'm really fine this time,
Mm.
reinforcing for who I am. So that's such a good question. And it's really important to think about how it affects each one of them individually. And that will come out in behavior.
Are children's personalities quite fixed from a young age? Because it sounds like we're trying to give these children a way to understand what they need, but what if their personalities and their and how they behave changes as they get older?
Such a good question. So what we know from sort of research is that personalities is a part of the package, and your temperament is something that is partly
Mhm.
wired in,
Yeah,
and then also it is affected and can be influenced by your environment and by parenting.
that's fair. Okay.
So just as we go back to this language of emotion, one of
Yeah.
the great things about it is that you could say to your son, or let's just say it's the daughter who's more of an extrovert, um, I really could see that you love, and in fact you need other people.
Yeah.
And so just part of this whole lockdown of being home is difficult for you because you're not getting that fun, however you say it to a 5-year-old. But
Yeah. Yeah.
you're absolutely right. We want to first of all help our kids recognize how they're wired. And the
Yes.
second part is helping our kids learn to manage it. So if you have a really sensitive child,
Mm.
we want to make sure that they understand that sensitivity is a wonderful trait,
Yeah.
right? And at the same time, we want to teach them strategies to help them manage life as a sensitive child.
I just think that's really powerful. That if I had known as a young child or a teenager what my emotions were about and my personality and how to handle that, I think I know I would have had different experiences and different reactions to experiences, which I think would have given me much more resilience at a much younger age.
Yeah.
Resilience to me is a really big deal for my kids and for us all to try and adapt. Change is going to happen whether we like it or not. Things are going to change, suck it up. It's about how you adapt it and how you work towards that. And I just think what you're talking about is a really massive gift that we can give to our kids
Yeah.
to help them understand who they are and what they need, because then that will then equip them for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
That's huge.
And I
This is
love the
awesome.
word, yeah, they use the word gift because it's true. And just remember, we're not trying to change our children's who they are,
Yeah.
right?
about
I mean, I've
embracing it.
got 3 kids, one super, super sensitive,
Yeah.
one more kind of a slightly less, well, a bit more who goes at life with a bit more
Gung-ho.
vigor, and the other one is somewhere in the two. But my gift to them is to help, yeah, exactly, is to help them understand and manage it. Help them manage it. So I was just trying to think of another. Can I give you one more example that is relevant, for lockdown?
Sure.
One temperament is that you might have a child who finds transitions difficult,
Okay.
right? From moving from A to B, and it could be therefore that once you realize that, you're like, the way they're wired is that they really need to feel they can finish something. They're really quite intense.
Yeah.
Right. So if you know that, that is a great trait to have when you're an adult. But it can be quite challenging when they're a child. If you're in a busy house and you've got to move from A to B and do this and that, and you've got to, right? So once we know that about our children, we can set them up to be able to manage that. So I might say to them, I know you love to finish something before you move to the next. It's hard for you to jump from one to another.
Yeah.
So what can we do to actually help you with that? So how about you talk about it, whatever, and you might say, how about if I give you a 10-minute warning, right? And then I give you a 5-minute warning, and then you're actually helping them. You're helping them manage and adapt to the way they're wired. So actually, you're also helping them learn that maybe later on in life they need to remember that they need a bit of time to shift from A to B. I have a child who absolutely is like that. She couldn't stand it if you'd say, right, let's go. Right. And then we'd have a meltdown or huge big sort of tantrum. And that is a gift to be able to help your children, A, recognize it, B, give them the tools and skills to help them get the most out of these temperamental traits that we all have with the language of emotion.
This reminds me a lot of that book, How to Talk So Kids Will Listen So Kids Will Talk.
Yes.
And I read that book before I had my kids, because obviously back then I had no children and I was an amazing parent.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
parenting locks easy. You guys all get it completely wrong. And it really got me thinking about, so when a child's watching a TV program or if they're on a screen, they're absorbed into that world. And if you say, okay, right, let's go, turn it off now, they're like, hang about, my world just suddenly just got taken away from me and I'm into this world and I didn't know it was going to stop. So by giving them that kind of countdown, hey, when the big hand gets to 10 or something on the clock, then we're going to turn it off. Do you guys understand that? Yeah, okay, fine. So they know the words, or end of this episode, we're going to turn it off because that's what we agreed. And they get that kind of easing out of that world that they're kind of absorbed into. I find that from that I'm pretty sure that's from that book.
Yes,
that was a really big deal.
Faber and English is a fantastic, kind of wonderful book, and it's very much about, how, as it says, how to talk so kids will listen, and listen so kids will talk, and that's the real goal in our lives, isn't it?
And it's got pictures, it's got diagrams, it's like a comic strip.
It has got great diagrams. So I think that is so important. And the other thing is, whenever your kids do anything that is in your mind kind of in the right direction, if it's the right thing, we want to point it out and let them know we saw it, we got it. And then soon they'll be doing more of those because we really want our positive attention.
That's really interesting. I know that we're talking a lot about what we're doing with our children right now, but we were also talking about, it's Children's Mental Health Week coming up next week. When this goes out, it'll be the week it's going to go out. And by the charity Place to Be, tell me a little bit more about this and what are your feelings about this? I think this is a really big deal that we recognize children's mental health.
Well, I think we were sort of saying before, in any year, it's this important thing, but we know that it's just so important now to think about our children's mental health. And sometimes it's wonderful to have a reminder. And this is a particular charity that I love that works in schools to try and
Okay.
educate and give schools the tools to help and support children's mental health. And clearly, our kids are no longer going to school, which is a big problem for their mental health.
Mm.
And their theme this year is express yourself, which
Okay.
I think is lovely. And it's about expressing yourself through creativity to try and find things and show our kids that they can find things that make them feel good. And the idea of just being creative, and it doesn't mean that you have to, I like the fact it doesn't mean you have to be good at stuff. It's just finding ways to let you be who you are, and express and think how good it feels when you create something, when you find a way to, in your particular, for you particularly, that you like to express yourself. And it's just about helping our kids feel good about who they are through that too. So I think there were some really good ideas, and I'm going to post something, and I know there's lots of activities, but again, it's about thinking about our children, their emotions, and what we can do to support them to make them feel good in this time, which is confusing for everyone. And this, it feels a bit hopeless sometimes. So we need to
Yeah.
do what you're doing, Harps, which is try and find things that we can really focus on the positive and make. And also, it's a lesson in helping all of us know that we can take take charge of ourselves to try and find things that make us feel good.
I think that's really a big thing about kind of empowering parents to show them, like, you know what, you got this too. It's not just the kids who got this, you got this too. And that there's other people who are going through the similar things that you're going through in terms of, this isn't working well, or your kids aren't doing this. How are you doing that? I know that you're doing some group work, and I know that you do one-to-one work as well. How does that work in terms of what you've been doing recently and what you've got planned coming up as well?
Oh, thanks. Well, so yeah, I work with a lot of parents just one to one because they like to do that on
Yeah.
particular unique. It's either challenges or also it's what you said before. It's just we know in our gut that we're not being the parents that we'd like to be, and it's
Yeah.
just drilling down and giving everybody strategies and skills you know to their that they can take on board for themselves. So I do that, and then also I'm starting in February a 6-week course that I run in the evenings, and it's a
Awesome.
lovely way to get together with a really small group, and we do it over Zoom meetings like this, and we work through a number of different strategies and skills. So we talk about emotion coaching, right? We talk about positive discipline. We talk about how to be confidently in charge. We talk about also the importance of what we call descriptive praise or acknowledgement in order to build our children's self-esteem and their resilience. So it's a very practical sort of course that we work through. And I cannot tell you on all the times I've done it, how important the support that the parents give each other. And again, that idea
Yeah.
of just knowing that you're not alone.
Yes. That's a massive, that's a big deal. Knowing
Yeah,
it's not just you who's struggling, and
yeah,
it isn't a failure either. I think we're very hard on ourselves that we
yeah,
describe, if you are shouting at your kids, not if, when, let's be real. When you're shouting at your kids and you just think, you know what, I didn't do that, I wanted to do that. Am I still being a good parent? These are the things that, you have this range of emotions that you go through as well. To know that you've got a group support around you who can help you with all this. Someone's got your back and someone's on your side without having to read, tons of parenting manuals yourself, because to be fair, you've done it already. That makes it even easier for us. And you have that expertise to lock into. I just have a quick question. I just had a thought about, I know that there are a lot of parents out there who have children with special educational needs, autism, for example. Does all of this still apply in a similar principle if your children, for example, have other needs that are a little bit more specialized, or if they're autistic, for example?
I would say absolutely. Clearly, there is fantastic support out there
Yeah.
for parents of children with special needs. But I found with the families that I have worked with,
Mhm.
it's really helpful not only for the parents, well, for the parents also to support and help the entire family,
Okay.
right? So the things that we teach and the things we talk about, whether it's what we talked about today and just the idea of recognizing, being aware of our children's emotions and temperament, that
Yeah.
clearly is relevant.
Yeah.
And then it's also really important to support the other children within the family who have a sibling with special needs. And I found that has been really very supportive. So the answer is yes.
That's really good to know. I think that'd be a question a lot of people will be thinking is, you know, it may work for child A. Is it going to work for child B who has different needs and different
Yeah.
demands that are, you know, because their brains are wired in a different way, which is fine. That's to how it makes all personalities, makes us all different. But how can we do that so it still works for all the people involved in that household? So that's really good to know.
Yeah,
Heather,
absolutely.
this has been awesome.
Mhm.
I have learned a heck of a lot. And it's good to know that there's somebody out there who gets it and who's got our back on that at the same time as well. Anybody who's going to be thinking about parenting and wants some support, I can highly recommend that Heather will be able to help you on that. She has got your back on this. This online coaching that you're talking about, this group you're talking about, it's a great way to kind of step into it if you're a little bit unsure on something like this as well. We need to have a chat because I need some help with my kids as well. So this would be really good.
I would love that. And anyone, please, I'm really happy to have a chat at any point. So
That'd be really cool.
delighted.
How can people find you, Heather? What are your social media links? I'll put it in the notes underneath as well at the
Yeah,
end of
so
this.
put it, if you wouldn't do, if you would do that, would be great. My
Sure.
website is the Parenting Partnership. You can find me as the Parenting Partnership on Instagram,
Awesome.
Facebook. Yeah, doing some more, hopefully doing some more things along those lines too. But I would love to hear from anyone. And honestly, just want to say that you're not alone. This is tough stuff, and just getting through the day, being kind to yourself is a superb place to start.
That's a pretty good ending to a really great chat. That's really cool. Everybody, this has been Heather Rutherford. She is Positive Parenting. She is a parenting coach. She has been awesome. If you would like some information, want some help, if you want some hints and tips, Heather is here to give you guys a hand. I will share her information in the notes below as well. And this has been really cool. Great to see you, Heather. Have a really great day.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you for your
Bye.
time.